I'm back, it's Monday, it's week 28. Last week I thought it would be a green week and it became a green week. Nasdaq up more than 4%. And the stocks, the trading tips, they did very well. Some of them almost up to the 20th. I will get back to the trading tips. I will give you a few new trading tips. For me last week was just a very good week. Work numbers last week came in somewhat expected, but this week consumer price index numbers will come. How will this affect the market? Are we heading for yet another green week? What about the signals? How many buy signals is there across the world? As usual, I'll tell you all this as I'll try to give you a market insight. Then we will run through a few tickers, all of them. Tesla, Microsoft, Apple did a little bit better than I thought. But what about this week? Will they continue up or are we heading for a downfall? First, and as always, we have to listen to the disclaimer. Then I will be back, as I said, with a short market introduction where I will tell you a little bit what I think will happen this week in the markets. I will use some fundamental data, then I will show you the charts, and at the very end of the podcast you will have some trading tips.
Hello everyone. Welcome to the StockInvest.us weekly stock and crypto podcast. The podcast is hosted by StockInvest.us co-founder and Golden Star Signal inventor, Jim Stromberg, who has been actively trading since 1996. If you are watching us on YouTube, make sure to hit like and notification bell so you will be first to know when we post a new video. This podcast is also available on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Anchor, and other audio sources. Ensure you listen to the entire podcast so you don't miss out on some key tips needed for this week's strategy.
Welcome to StockInvest.us podcast. We remind you that trading involves a high risk of losing money, and that you should speak with a financial advisor before buying or selling any securities. You should not base your investment decision upon StockInvest.us. By using the information provided, you agree and are held liable for your own investment decisions.
Week 28 is here, and the big question is, of course, will it be a red or will it be a green week? So far I've been right about the markets. Moved a little bit better than I thought, actually, for Nasdaq, which was up 4.56%, ending the week at 11,635. And does this mean that we finally found the bottom, that we will go up? Or is it just a temporary upturn? I will try to answer this question during this podcast, where we will focus mostly on the week ahead of us. Dow Jones also was up, but not as much as Nasdaq, only up 0.77%, ending the week at 31,338 points. And if you're a new listener, my name is Jim. I'm one of the co-founders of StockInvest.us. I've been using technical analysis since the early 90s. Love technical analysis. I think that you can see a lot of the future by looking at the past. That's what you do in technical analysis. But you cannot avoid the fundamental data, because these fundamental things, they affect the market, and especially short term as well, of course, as long term. And this is how we'll do it. I will give you a little insight of the fundamental things that I think might affect the week ahead of us, things that you should look out for. And then I will show you some charts. And if you're listening to this podcast on Apple or on Anchor or wherever you are, it's also available on YouTube. And let me do a little marketing, because if you are a podcast listener, and it starts to be quite many of you, just remember, as a loyal listener to me, you are able to get 50% discount on our services at StockInvest.us. Just type in the code podcast on the order field if you like to subscribe to our services. It will give you a few extra features, and more is in the pipeline. And before we finally start looking at the market and the week ahead of us, just a notice to the new listener. What's the point of this podcast, which is out every Monday before markets open, and it's more than 100 in a row now. The one thing that we really want to achieve is to help you reduce your losses and increase your gains. So during the podcast, I usually give a few tips and tricks how to achieve these goals. And at the very end, I'll give you trading tips. And last week, the trading tips went more or less just as I was hoping for, especially Inovio went very well, but that was just as expected. If it broke 2, it would move fast, as I said. It really did, ending the week at 217, bringing me way up in the green. But we will get to the trading tips. First, for the next 7 minutes, I will just give you an insight in the market. Then we will run to a few quick analyses: Microsoft, Apple, Tesla, Bitcoin and Dogecoin, just to verify what we see in the chart. And what are the things to look out for this week? There will be some key results. I'm not sure if they will affect the market, but some of them will give an idea of the inflation and the recession. Now we know that last week's job numbers came in somewhat good. Market took it as a positive sign. But you have to remember there is a delay. Also this week there will be job numbers. The weekly job numbers will be in on Thursday. But it's Wednesday what the most professional will look at, because then you will have the consumer price index numbers for June expected in at 8.8% 12 months over 12 months. And I think there will be somewhat in line with that. I don't expect huge movements either up and down. I know that if they come in lower than 8.8%, market will take it very positive. And if they stay, let's say, around 8.8%, shouldn't affect the markets too much. We are already used to the inflation. We know it's here. The question, how long will it be, and what about the recession? And people will start look for recession numbers in some of the Q results, because there will be a few banks like JP Morgan will be on Thursday. Pepsi will have their Q results before markets open tomorrow. May show some about how consumers behave. And one thing that you can do for yourself is just look out in the restaurants. Do you see more people than usual? Is the same amount of people there? Because restaurants is one of these things that will get and are affected of inflation, because it's very simple. As inflation go up, if your buying power doesn't go up, if you don't get more salaries or otherwise, well, you have to save somewhere, and people usually start to save on subscriptions, restaurants visits, and that's usually where you see it first. So what does that mean? Should you invest into restaurant chains? What about that fabulous Domino? Should you invest there? Well, maybe you should think twice. Cruise lines. Will people go on more holidays as inflation go up? And you can just continue. So these are the bigger thoughts that you should do. Where will people be when there is inflation? And it said it's very good to be in detail shops, foods, for instance, or stock that yields a very good dividend. Oil had a dip last week, but then started to gain some momentum again at the end of the week. Fell by 4.8% over the week in total, but is listed at 103. And as I told you, I think oil will just continue up. What we see is just slight disruption. It's at the middle of the summer. There is different news. We know that everyone is trying to push the oil price down. But if you follow the news, you also know that, for instance, this week Germany will be without gas from Gazprom and Nord Stream 2 from Russia for 1 week. They say it's maintenance, and we also know that they will shorten the gas delivery, cut the gas delivery later this year. We are heading into a very, very severe winter where energy will be the focus. I'm Norwegian. I come from Norway. I come from the part of Norway where it always rains, the west coast of Norway. Excuse me. But also Norway are facing energy crisis, simply because we are draining every inch on the liter of water we have to send electricity to Europe. And that lowers the water magazines down to a level which they haven't been for decades. And unless it suddenly starts to rain every single day, also Norway might go into electricity rationing at winter. So we might enjoy the sun, we might enjoy summer, we might enjoy life. But for sure, things are waiting up in the pipeline. Usually you can see this in gold, but gold fell by $74 last week, down 4.26%, currently listed at $1,736. And as I said many times, I think gold will go up to 2,500, but also, like I had to admit, it will not happen anytime soon because interest rates is going up. And then you see more money go also into the secure bonds and yields, and bringing a sort of pressure on gold, but I think it's just temporary. I think we will see more money flow back into gold, and I'm prepared to invest even more in gold personally. Seeing it as a buying opportunity, gold getting this low. 10-year treasury I already mentioned increased last week, and that might be a bad sign. So the fundamental things. We will shortly go to the chart, make a conclusion. What will it be this week? So you heard me say that there will be consumer numbers on Wednesday, job numbers on Thursday, and some Q results all over. So there are really big news. Usually this is good thing. I told you that 2-3 podcasts ago. When it was the similar, no news is good news when market is as it is. If consumer price numbers come in much worse than expected, you will have a red week. I guarantee you that. And for sure, if the consumer price index numbers come in much better than expected, it could be another green week. So Wednesday number, I think the trading until Wednesday will be somewhat slow. Wednesday might set the direction further. But we will have a quick look at the charts and try to make a conclusion, because looking at the fundamentals, I would say that we are in for a slow, maybe even green week. But what will the chart say? And we can look at the signals first. At StockInvest, we analyze more than 38,000 tickers now. Some 24, I think, is qualified for these analysis, and last week there was 18% buy signals. Now it's 23% buy signals, going up. It's still not very high, and it's a better situation than it was just a few weeks ago. Yes, it was so low, it was really a good buying opportunity, but very low buy signals also means extreme volatile markets. Being up at 23 indicates to me that it shouldn't be that volatile. Even Nasdaq up last week from 18 to 25. New York Stock Exchange at 16. London 10% buy signals, and Shenzhen China up at 41. China been very high for a very long time, and I think some of the next downfall can be traced to Asia. As once start falling in Asia, I think that will just also get on to our part of the world. All in all, the signals say that we are in a situation where the markets shouldn't be that volatile, meaning that either they could go slowly down or slowly up. But to finish this market section, just let's look at the chart, and you can do this yourself. Go to, for instance, our webpage or any other webpage and just type in the ticker Exigam, and you will find Nasdaq Composite. And looking at the chart, we can see a few things. We can see that it's within a falling trend. It's moving more or less as expected. It moved up from the bottom of the trend to the top of the trend, currently being in the top of the trend. And here comes some of the lessons that I want to learn you from technical point of view. Relative strength index for Nasdaq is 73, meaning that the index right now is overbought. Yes, we have a buy signals from the short-term moving average and the long-term moving average. As you can see, these dark blue line and that lighter blue line, they are below the price. But volume fell last week as the index went up, indicating more that What we want is the volume to follow the price. In this case it doesn't. Market is overbought. Usually this means two things. Either market goes in a very fast upturn the week ahead of us, or it will turn somewhere where it is. What is the next step? Then we start to look, is there much resistance above? Is there much support below? This is shown in the chart as gray bars, accumulated volume, gray bars on your right hand side. You can see it here. If you're watching YouTube, I'm just showing some gray bars next to the chart. And we can see there is some resistance where the index is today. If it managed to break above 11,700, it should move very fast up to 12,000 where the next resistance is. Is it much? No, I wouldn't say it's much resistance, but it's still there. On the downside, we find a lot of accumulated support, which is a good thing, meaning that most likely we will not have that extreme fall. For that to happen, I think there has to be some drastic news. But I will emphasize on a few things. Nasdaq being overbought last time, it got high on the relative strength index. It was not even overbought. It was back in June 8 when it was close to 12,000. Then it fell down to 10,600. It is in the top of the trend. I really think that we will see the same thing. This will be a week where the market will test the downward trend. From my opinion, being on the safe side, I would say that it's more likely that the markets now are heading for a downturn. For the week as such, I don't think it will be a huge downturn because there is so much accumulated volume below. But if it falls below 11,000, it will fall very, very fast. I think the market will move between 11,000. It might even be, if there is a good day, that it can move all the way up to 12,000. You never know. Can very well happen, but that we will see a market that ends the week lower than it started the week. Meaning that I think for the week ahead of us, as such, it's for the green week. It will be a very interesting week because either markets continue within the trend, or it starts to break it, and then we are in a situation which suddenly starts to look a lot brighter. So for sure it will be an interesting week. But this was long enough. I believe it will be a red week, not the worst red week, but a slow downturn. Could be a few days of upturn, but then a slow downturn ending, just to give a guess, my guess it will end somewhere around 12,200, 300 by the end of the week, staying above 11,000. But be warned, if it falls below 11, it should fall very fast. But in my opinion, it's a slightly red week ahead of us. Now we will run very quickly through Tesla, Microsoft, and Apple. I will give you some estimates of what I think they will end the week at. Then we will have the trading dips. Well, the answers from last week are in, and how did it go? Last week I told you I thought Apple would end up. I had a target for $142, but Apple did better than that, ending at $147, driven by a good week for Nasdaq. Microsoft did also $5 better than I thought. I thought Microsoft would end at $262, ending at $267. But Tesla did better than I thought, much better. I had a target for $710. Tesla managed all the way to $752. And we will shortly look at the chart, but it might just be that it will be on a short-term run. We will see. Bitcoin and Dogecoin somewhat unchanged the week over the week. But let's run quickly through the charts. It's a good exercise. See if it matches what I just said about the markets. Can we see the same thing in the charts? Will they show us a market that might just turn red this week? We'll start with Apple, and if we look at the Apple chart, we can see somewhat the same thing. It's a falling trend. It's at the upper part of the trend. The relative strength index is overbought for Apple at 77, actually very, very high. And these things indicate that we should at least move sideways. Buy signals from the short-term moving average, long-term moving, even the relation between the two averages have a very nice buy signal, a so-called golden cross, not a star but a golden cross. It's marked as a green star in our charts. And I recommend you, if you're listening at this podcast at media device, check also out the YouTube video, because you will see more of what I see. And last time it had a major signal was back in April 19th. It gave a selling cross, a huge selling cross, even our Death Star from the golden cross section series. We have a golden star and Death Star, and the Death Star will issue at around April 19th. And then Apple had a huge fall all the way from around 163 all the way down to 130. Now it has a buy signal, but will it be enough? Will it hold? That remains to see. Here is the prediction for Apple this week, being at the top of the trend. Very good support below, just as Nasdaq. Some resistance above. I think that we will see a stock that will push more or less sideways. I think the low will be around 140, the high will be around 155. For the week as such, I think it will end somewhere around, let's say, I will have a target for $143 for Apple this week, meaning that I think it should go slowly down from today's level. But it will be interesting for sure, absolutely, to follow, because now we will get answer if we are, as I said, at the temporary bottom. Looking at Microsoft, let's run through them all very quickly. We see somewhat the same thing. It's at the top of the trend. Relative strength index is not overbought, because Microsoft usually swing a bit more than Apple, but it's 71 and very high, meaning that we are at the top of the trend, and everything, absolutely everything in this chart indicate that Microsoft should fall this week. Resistance above, some support below, buy signals from both charts, but the formations are very clear in my opinion. Last upturn came on falling volume, seldom a very good idea. I don't think Microsoft will be able to go as high as 275 for a week. Even on a green day. I think that it will be a heavy week for Microsoft, pushing downwards to let's be not too hard. I think the very low could be $255, but ending somewhere around 260. Last week I had a target for 262, and I actually think that I will reduce it to 260, saying that Microsoft should fall this week. And what about Tesla? As I say, it's the hardest stock to predict at all, because it's very volatile, it moves a lot, but shows many good formations. Relative strength index is 72, getting very high, but first crossing 75 it will be overbought. We use dynamic relative strength index, meaning that each stock has different levels depending on the previous past, how they move. Some may have an overbought from 70, but Tesla is a very volatile stock, so it starts being overbought at 75. And you can check any chart you want ever. Usually when stocks get overbought, the following happen. Either they go into a rally where they move very fast, and in this case Tesla can move very fast upwards to 850. I described this in last week's podcast, what might happen if it managed to get a little bit above. You can get into this rally, so it's a fair chance. Volume is following the stock. I like that there is a buy signals from the short-term moving average, the long-term moving average. There is many nice signs in the chart. It's in a falling trend, testing the trend, but the trend is much wider than, for instance, Apple, Microsoft. In addition, it has a longer horizontal move before this. And I have told you about this rectangle formation. You cannot see it here, but you can maybe visualize it, where you see Apple have been testing around 750, 760 a few times before. So this we call the upper line, and the bottom line is around 630, where it been bottoming and then going up. So it moves within something we call a rectangle formation between 630 750, I would say, meaning that if it goes above some 750 760, you can expect $120 gain, and that will bring you exactly up to the resistance at $870. fair chance Tesla might just do that. Volume is not peaking, like we can have a look back in May where it was peaking up. It still has plenty of room to go up along with going up into overbought. Lots of support below. I don't see any drastic fall in Tesla right now. You never know. Elon is off the Twitter bid. Will this affect Tesla? I don't know, but looking primarily at the chart, I would say that it is a 50% chance that Tesla will go into very overbought, going for a rally upwards to 870. And if it falls, so much support that the downturn shouldn't be that good. So what does this mean? Is it a buy or a sell case? Well, you will hear very shortly in the trading tips that I actually want to try to see if I can make a Tesla trade this week, because either this one goes very fast upwards or it will tick downward. It will be that either if. But if it goes, it should be many nice percentages. Anyway, with such good support below, I don't see any reason why it should fall very fast, giving a slightly okay buy to sell ratio in my opinion. The risk reward is 60-40. Let's say 60-40 is not very obvious, but it's there, and I think just give me a good entrance, give a red start on the day or something, so I can get a little bit low entrance price, and I will be very happy, super happy if I can get in at 740ish, but it may not happen. I've seen this before, getting to overbought, it can just continue straight up. You think it will dip, but it won't dip, so I'll have to make a qualified guess as market starts to open in a few hours. Target for the week for Tesla, I think it will be higher than this week. It will be very interesting to see. I have a feeling it might do a rally to 870. I think the low, very low, will be 700. Try to be a little bit realistic, saying that the target for the week ahead of us will be 760, so just slightly up for Tesla. Then we will in 1 minute run through Bitcoin and Dogecoin. There is nothing special to say about these things. They are in a very strong falling trend. You can see for yourself. Last time it were at this position, it fell down. Relative strength index is not very high. Everything is indicating that Bitcoin should struggle. We need to see it move about 22,000 to start it establish a bottom higher than the other. Risk reward is terrible. I got in somewhere around 30ish again in Bitcoin, and I've taken a little more position. But Bitcoin may very well head down to 10,000 right now. It is at a place where it should start to fall again. If that doesn't happen, we might be in a better position. Relative strength index is not overbought. It's only 48. I would say volume is following somewhat okay, giving me the idea that it might not be a brutal week after all. Could fall down to 19,000 and move up somewhere between 33, just being a very slow week for Bitcoin. But be aware, this might very well be the week where it starts to downfall to 19. Target for the week will be 20,000. I will see. If it gets a huge dip, I will accumulate a little bit more. And I have my reason for this. Technically, everything in this chart is negative. You shouldn't doubt it, indicating that Bitcoin should continue down. The one thing that the chart doesn't tell you properly is when it turns, because you will need a higher bottom than the previous. And me saying that I will accumulate a little bit more is simply because I went out when Bitcoin was 16. As Bitcoin fall, I took the first new position at 30, then a little bit more on this very last fall, and if it falls a little bit more, I will accumulate a little bit more and slowly get back up to what I was at the time when I sold last time. But I took a little bit more gamble in Dogecoin, just only a few pennies invested, nothing really big, because I thought that this could Sold at 40 cents, bought back at 20, that was catastrophe, bought back when it fell to 10, and it even fell more. So, very good trade in Dogecoin has turned into the red, and overall I'm in red in Dogecoin. Will I be able to turn it? Who knows? I'll do the same thing here. I think the coin will survive, but it's just small part of what I invest, and it's more for fun. Relative index 39 starting to get low, indicating to me that there might be an opportunity in Dogecoin. Should you invest or not is totally up to you. Remember, this is very volatile, there is no guarantees, but we might get be close to bottom. You don't know until history shows you exactly where the bottom is. For the week as such, a little bit up and down, but I think it might be just a boring week. Target 8 cents for Dogecoin. This marks the end of market section and the ticker section, and the next section and the last section is the trading tips. I already revealed that one of the trading candidates for this week is Tesla, but is there anyone else? Any other ticker I will try to trade? And how did it actually go? What are the numbers? You will know shortly, because now it is time for the trading tips. So what will we trade this week? Last week I told you I had 2 tickers open which I was not able to close. One of them I run without any trailing stop loss is America, because I have a very good feeling. Last week we were down in the red. For America, the only ticker that was red last week. But this week, ZOOM, ZOM, America, had last week, America had a very good week, ending at 26 cents, up 16.59% in my portfolio. And one user sent me a private message asking, when will you sell ZOOM? What is your strategy since you don't run trailing stop loss? I believe America might get into a rally soon. I've been trading America many times over the years. They have somewhat good cash position, so this trade is a little bit outside the ordinary. As you will hear, I have several stocks trading. I will even add a few this week. But this is somewhat pure gamble. If you have a strategy, like I have a strategy following trailing stop loss, using trailing stop losses, etc., I try to pick stocks which are in sectors which I will think will do good. I mentioned last week I think oil will have a rebound and pharmaceutical will have a rebound, so last week I added Ino and Chevron because they had these charts and positions which I like, and they went very well. We will get to that, but let's just close the America argument. Personally I think that America will do very good. I've been trading 2 penny stocks for a long time, following them very closely, looking at the patterns, and sometimes I'm not able to find the exact week, but very often I'm correct. If this hunch will be okay, I'm not sure yet. We will see. As I said, now it's up almost 17% since I bought it, so I can sell it with a nice profit now. Back to strategies. I have very clear strategies how I do. I just told you I try to find what I think are the big item tickers to move for the week. Is it energy? Is it biotech, etc.? I use trailing stop loss. But in addition to this, and you can read more about this if you are a user at StockInvest.us, go to your profile section. There you will find some chapters of my book, How to Lose Money While Trading. And there I try to tell you that you should have, depending, a small part of your portfolio as high risk portfolio, because there is usually where you can have the big surprises, but it should be fitted to your trading profile. It should be according to your capital, etc., and risk. So I have, let's say, around 20 20ish, between 20 and 25%, I invest into high risk things. You heard me talk about crypto, and the other part is in penny stocks. I changed this a little bit when markets were at the very best shape. You heard me say that I have more in high risk stocks. Then, as I thought market would move down before they moved, I started to reduce this and go into secure stocks. It's all about strategy. But we will see about Sumerica. It might be the week where I sell it. I have a target, a minimum target for 30 cents, which I'm pretty sure that Sumerica will hit. But get into the right rally, and it can get also to 50, 60, 70 cents, even $1. You don't know. It has to be a certain market condition for it to happen. And I think we might just be close to that part. We will see. If I get 30 cents and see that markets will most likely go very far down again, I will just sell, take the profit, and reinvest, as I want to hunt more in Sumerica. So that's the best answer I can give to that. The other stock, which we bought in week 26, was not able to sell it last week simply because it was just moving upwards, so stop loss was never triggered. Is Energizer, ENR. Bought at $26.2 in week 26. Went up to 29ish, even a little bit above 30ish, but was not able to be cut by stop loss last week. Ending the week at 28.50. Energizer is still one of the trading tips that is open, simply because this one will be closed by trailing stop loss. It's a 5% trailing stop loss. Currently up 8.78%, so no matter what happens, I will most likely make minimum 3%, but I think it will be way much more. We will see. It's still open. Should you buy it? Should you not? Let's have a quick look at the chart to determine if it still has that very nice formation I saw when I bought it at 26. Looking at the chart, it's went from overbought, starting to fall. Volume is following the stock. And in my experience, few things can happen. It can continue to be high on the relative strength index. I especially like that the volume will volume follow the stock. So it can continue up here. Overall, it's in a negative trend. It's taken out that very, very nice potential when I bought it at 626. I told you I would try to get up to the 30s. It went to the 30s. And now we will just let trailing stop loss decide the fate of it. Should you buy it now? No, I don't think you should buy it now. It's not that kind of case. It's not that obvious. I have a few tickers which I think might do better. So these were two stocks. One bought, Sumerica in week 21, still open. I was not being able to close it. Energizes week 26, runs by itself, by trailing stop loss, still not closed. Last week I added two more stocks. One of them was Inovio, INO. I was lucky to get in at 188 to see the stock move up just like expected. And as I told you, if it breaks 2 or able to break 2, it should move faster up. And it went up to 217 by the end of the week. Some volatility, of course, but 7% stop loss has kept me in the game. It was very close one of the days to be sold, but up 15.43%. 7% trailing stop loss just means that no matter what happens, I will have a hefty profit, because you hear me say it's up 15.43% since I bought it. And looking at the chart, because I want to show you this thing. There is now above the $2 levels. As I said, it can move very, very fast once over. It's overbought, and you hear me see the same thing. Markets is overbought, indicating that we should struggle. But Inovio is a stock that can get being overbought for some time. Going into this rally, it may happen that it will push. A few other biotechs did that last week, and it may push up to 270. Should you buy it now? It's a very risky game. I would say if you're able to trade it around 2, should be somewhat fair risk reward because there is very good support below. But it's not an obvious buy case now because everything indicates that it might go sideways. Running a trailing stop loss, I will let it run. Hopefully I will see that it goes into overbought, have a rally, can last 15 minutes, can last half an hour, can last a full day, can last 2 days, 3 days. You never really know. Historically, when it gets into a rally, it usually lasts a day for the stock. So it's are you able to be there when it happens? When the peak is, people push it way too high and all of us sell. It will be very interesting to see. But I'm not sure if you should buy it now. It's not a trading tips like Energizer. The trading tips for the week, the two actually 3 stocks I would look into getting is the following stocks. MARA, Marathon Patent Group. I like what I see. It's not a obvious case. The thing here in these trading tips is that the volume increased insane on last trading days as the stock pushed up. Usually you should have a reaction back, but such a trading volume indicates that something is happening. So here it's all about getting that right position, because looking at the chart, it has been in a falling trend for a long time. Now we have not a classical sell-off, but we have a classical change in the stock. Buy signals from the long-term moving average, short-term moving average as well. Relative strength index 62, some support below, some resistance above. Here is all about finding that sweet spot where to get in. Will it have a natural reaction down, giving you an entrance around 657? Will be super. Or will it just continue upwards? I will have to try to time this perfectly. I cannot tell you exactly now how it will be because I'll have to watch the pre-trading and different things. All I can say that it will be very volatile stock, and as you hear, it's now somewhere. Now it is at 851, and you hear me say it can fall down to 650. $2 on $8 is more than 20%. So it's for sure a tough trading game, but that's the name of the game. I will have to watch it. Will it just continue to build momentum and go off to a rally, bringing it to $12? Could be 50%. Very hard to say. I just hope I will be able to get a very good buy. I always buy the stocks on Monday because trying to help you. I have more portfolios than this one, but these are the stocks that I show in the podcast, which I buy, and I usually buy it on Monday. In this case, with Mara, I am not sure if I will buy today or if it will be tomorrow. I want to have a fall to get a very good position, but it's for sure one of the trading tips, and I really wish I could tell you exactly when I buy, but I cannot right now. Very interesting case. It will be a tough trade. Either it goes very successful or it will be. I'm not able, because it's so volatile, to set that stop loss. I have a feeling I might end around 10%, so I might take a 10% loss in this, trying to chase the formation and the things that I see. But let's move to the next one, which I already mentioned in the other section, is Tesla. Yet another very speculative tip. And I hope the same thing will happen here. I hope Tesla will fall back to somewhere around 700 that I can be able to get in. It will be a very, very tough trade. And if it runs too fast, I may not jump on the train, because this will be a very risky trade. If I get it somewhere, let's say between 700 and 730, I will go in. Hope to see a rally upwards to 870. Hunt these percentages. If not, I will just leave it, because if everything in the charts, you see the charts for yourself, and you hear me saying this stock is overbought, this is overbought, this is overbought, meaning that we can get into red week, and if the week starts to be more and more negative, more and more heavy, it doesn't help what kind of stock it is. Most of them will fall, and it will be a risky game. And I'm already in 4 open positions before these trading tips, so I will have to be careful. I'm sorry, I'm opening already 2 positions, and with Mara, with Tesla, and I will show you the last one I will trade. There will be 5 positions. It's way too open, so I expect sorry, no, I'm messing a little bit around. I'm already open in 4 positions. I'm open in America, I'm open in Energizer, Inovio, and also Chevron. And now Mara and Tesla. Well, that will leave me 6 positions in a market which most likely will be red for a week, meaning that it will be a tough trade. Why do I do it? Well, the previous trades, they are still open because they run on stop loss. As I told you, it's summer, it's holiday. I don't plan to sit in front of the screen. I will enjoy the weather, and you cannot say exactly what will happen in the market, and you are a magician. It can be when things are overbought, you can just suddenly get into a rally. The market may start a little red just to end 3% up today. I've seen this a million times before. The previous trades, they will run, most of them except Zoom, they will run on trailing stop loss. Market fall, they will be sold. I will be in profit anyway. Looking at these 2 new, Mara and Tesla, it's just, I think there might be an opportunity. We just have to find that good spot. But I have one more stock for you, and that's Chevron, which I bought last week. And the reason why I will bring it is because you heard me say that there is high risk, and there is very much volatility. I think Chevron represents the opposite in this case. I think it is a buying opportunity. Very low on relative strength index is still in my trade from last week. When I bought it, it's still in. I think it will do fairly good, even if markets go red. I think Chevron will do okay. I'm not hunting for so much. I think it's a fair chance that it will go up to $155, and that's the range I'm trading. I really like that it's very low on relative strength index, as the rest of them are very high. So it will be a good balance. My trade is still open, but I think this also is a good trade. Okay, that became much longer than I thought. We are at the end of the podcast. It's very close to say goodbye. But before leaving you, I'm trying to leave you on a good note, because it was much things to say about the week, much things to say about the stocks. I try to summarize everything. Put it in a bigger context. So what I see for the week ahead it's a market. Stocks are overbought. Usually things happen. Either it just continues upwards. In most cases, and if you trade by strategies and you are a careful trader, just building $1 by $1, the market should go down this week. It's the most likely scenario. On the other hand, you can gamble for the upturn. But don't gamble with money you cannot lose. You heard me say it may not go well, the Tesla trade may not go well, the Mara trade may not go well, because overall there is a huge chance it will be a red week. At the same time, when stocks are overbought, they can go into a very short rally. Remember, this is day trading. These stocks, they may bluff in 10 minutes, they may lose all momentum, fall 5-10%, game is over, or the opposite, they might move very fast, except Chevron. As I told you, I don't think that will move very fast. Oil is on the way up again, 10-year treasury is on the way up again. I think that will be very good for Chevron. It's safe, in my opinion, somewhat safe trade. We are in the middle of July. It's holiday for many. I had a very nice week last week. even being able to do a lot of my hobbies. Try to get some energy because I have a feeling that we are heading for a territory where we can make much money if we are just able to do our trading, but it will require some concentration. Go to the beach, bring a good book about technical analysis or fundamental analysis or investment. Enjoy the sun, read up, be prepared, because I really want to go deeper into the material, talk a lot deeper about things, how they are connected. But then you also will need to get up to a level so we can talk more technically. Hopefully we will get there bit by bit. If not, if you're just trading on pure luck, well, I wish you the very best. But if you are, like me, patient, we hunt when the season is good. Get a little low when the season is not that good. We reduce our investments. Slowly, we build capital bit by bit. And that's the end game. Reduce your losses, use trailing stop loss. Don't go on too risky hunts. Make sure to balance your portfolio so you can handle the falls. You hear me say over and over that energy will be hot. It is hot, it will be hot. Everything indicates it's smart to have some energy stocks. And I know at least a few of you are from Norway, because I get some comments now and then, some messages from fellow friends in Norway, and I hope you have enjoyed Petrogeo service train just like I have, because that's been an amazing run. Oil stocks will do good. Summer is here. I hope when we get to next week that I will be able to tell you that we have a green week. I'm not sure, it will be a tough week. This one will be a tough week. Maybe we will have that red week. We haven't had many of them since I started. Next week might just be the week where I tell you I have a few trades in red. We will see. Answer you will get next Monday. Until then, enjoy summer, enjoy trading. Hopefully you will be green, and we will speak in a week.